Hello and welcome to our flip video lesson, Diffusion, lesson 6.11. Our lesson 6.11 details Human Odyssey reading pages 204 to 211, our student guide workbook pages 196 to 200, page 199 and 200 are a comparing religions chart, so that is actually not covered in this flip video. It will be covered in a separate video. OMS assignment, your 6.11 lesson, and then about the topic, diffusion of religion and its influence on the world. So our lesson learning objectives. Analyze fiction for the central Buddhist attitude towards human beings of caste or classes. Describe Asoka's achievements and contributions to Buddhism. Name the warrior and emperor of ancient India who converted to Buddhism. Identify on a map the areas of the world where Buddhism is widely practiced today. Lesson introduction, diffusion. 2 centuries after Buddha's death, a powerful and ruthless warrior called Asoka ruled a mighty empire in India. Asoka claimed responsibility for the deaths of some 1,000 soldiers and the enslavement of another 150,000 during his conquests. But after so much violence, Asoka was filled with remorse. He sought wisdom and understanding from Buddhist monks and decided to become a Buddhist himself. He dedicated the rest of his life to spreading the teachings of Buddha, sending out Buddhist missionary monks and building monuments and places of worship. Because of the efforts of Asoka and his many followers, Buddhism became one of the world's great religions. And if you take a look at this map over here, you can see some of this diffusion. We call it cultural diffusion, is that spreading of ideas that spread out from right here in India and spread out into other parts of the world. Okay, so if you need to pause this video and take a look at this map, you definitely may do so. Let's go ahead and watch a little video. This is Ashoka, the Great King of India, History for Kids educational videos. Now you may notice right here it says Ashoka, A-S-H-O-K-A, and I'm pronouncing it with an A-S-H. And then here I said Asoka, A-S-O-K-A. So our book and our student guide pronounce it without an H. A lot of the things that you may find additional information will pronounce it or have an H in there. It can be pronounced and spelled either way.
Ashoka. Ashoka was headquartered in Magadh in Bihar. His kingdom stretched from Pakistan and Afghanistan in the west to Assam and Bangladesh in the east, and as far as Kerala and Andhra Pradesh in the south. Within 8 years of ascending the throne, Ashoka expanded his empire to regions in Iran and Persia. His quest to expand his empire, however, would change after the bloody battle of Kalinga. In his younger days, Ashoka is said to have had a massive temper and was considered to be a very cruel person. He was nicknamed Chand Ashoka, which meant Ashoka the Fierce. Kalinga was a state in the fertile land between Godavari and Mahanadi rivers. Ashoka invaded this kingdom after they refused to bow down to him. It is said that 100,000 soldiers of the Kalinga army died in this war, and Ashoka too lost around 10,000 of his men. After the battle, Ashoka was very moved by the devastation he had caused. He saw burnt houses and scattered corpses all around, and the wails of the mourners pierced his ears. Ashoka adopted Buddhism soon after, embracing its message of peace. He made it the state religion and propagated its message within the boundaries of his kingdom as well as other parts of the world. He built thousands of stupas and viharas that stand until today. During his reign, Ashoka built many universities, water transit and irrigation systems to promote trade and agriculture. He constructed hospitals and renovated major roads throughout his kingdom and treated his subjects equally, regardless of their politics, culture, or class. All our knowledge of Ashoka's rule is from inscriptions he had carved on pillars and rocks throughout his kingdom. They all speak of compassionate living and spreading peace and love. After 40 years on the throne, Ashoka breathed his last at the ripe age of 72. He left behind a legacy of an able ruler and lawmaker, a hero, a monk, and a noble preacher of Dharma. Ashoka was the last of the great kings of the Mauryan dynasty that eventually fell apart 50 years later.
And now let's go ahead and turn to your student guide. So turn to page 196 in your student guide. I will warn you, there's not much space to write. There's not the questions like we have a lot of times in the student guide. So you may want to go ahead and get a piece of paper, or you can write on the side margin, but it might be neater for you to get a piece of paper. Question number 1 on page 197. Who was the warrior and emperor of India who converted to Buddhism and helped spread Buddhist teachings? And why did this leader convert? And so it was Asoka, or Ashoka as we talked about earlier with that H. After years of brutal rule and conquest, his heart filled with remorse, and he sought wisdom from Buddhist monks. Question number 2. What were some of Asoka's achievements and contributions to Buddhism? He preached goodness, compassion, and mercy to all living creatures. He built hospitals for both people and animals. He constructed fine roads to improve communications and trade. He sent monks and missionaries to teach Buddhism inside and outside his empire. He built stupas, which were Buddhist places of worship, and he built stone columns and inscribed them with Buddhist teachings. And this is just a little side note here, down here on the bottom. After Asoka's death, Buddhism did not take deep root in India. Hinduism grew stronger among India's people and is now the main religion of India today. Buddhism continued to grow and spread throughout Eastern Asia. Question number 3. What does the story The Great Mahinda reveal about the central Buddhist attitude towards human behavior and caste or class? So if you've already read this, this will make quite a bit of sense to you. If you have not already done your reading for today, you may want to stop this flip video and finish your reading, or this is a little precursor to what you will learn in the story The Great Mahinda. People should be kind to others. One can be happy by living a simple life. People shouldn't become attached to material objects. People should not kill animals nor drink alcohol. One should have mercy and compassion for all living things. And one should treat all people fairly with respect regardless of their caste. So Buddhism spread by the travels of monks and missionaries for many miles by many ways. And again, we go back to that word diffusion. You can look at this map while I'm reading. Diffusion, also known as cultural diffusion, is a social process through which elements of culture spread from one society or social group to another, which means it is, in essence, a process of social change. So we talk about the Silk Road and that spreading of product, but the Silk Road also provided an opportunity for the spreading of ideas. In this case, the spreading of ideas, religion, Buddhism, through the travels or by the travels of monks and missionaries. And this is an optional activity which talks a little bit about that diffusion, that cultural diffusion. If you look at the bottom of page 197, you'll see a focus on geography. You can go ahead and use this information to fill that in, or you can skip over it. That's completely up to you. It is an optional activity. Your reading pages for this lesson are 204 to 211, and the readings are split up into two different sections. The first part is about Asoka. The second is about the Great Mahinda. Important vocabulary words to understand. A missionary is a person who is sent to spread their religion and help those in need. A monk is a member of a religious community of men who usually promise to remain poor, unmarried, and separated from the rest of society. Widely means over a large area or range, and over land means traveling or done by land. So no water access, no air access, just traveling done by land. And here we come to our quote section. I consider myself a Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jew, Buddhist, and Confucian. And that was said by Gandhi. Thanks so much for joining me today. as always, remember, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Have an amazing day.